Hi, welcome back to CS170. For this PowerPoint presentation on Excel, the last part is covering charts. So I'm going to cover that in this last mini lecture for this PowerPoint. And then we just have a little bit more to get through this introduction to Excel. So let's take a look at what we have here. So you can see, I'm sure a lot of you have seen these type of things, a little pie chart here, which basically shows like whatever. In this case, they're talking about a cookie shop and their revenue from sales, and they break it down into these 4 different pieces with the associated percentages. Okay, so the key part here is you take some data, right? A lot of times you select the data and then Excel will automatically suggest a chart for you. But this is the key part here. It's like whatever you do, you kind of get everything to add up to 100, okay, 100%. And then Excel will kind of automatically get you to a pie chart, some version of a pie chart, okay? And then the idea here is that each of those slices will somehow add up to 100%, right? So that's when they talk about, oh, okay, you can do these different types of charts, like given the data, what's the recommended chart to use. And like I said, this part I highlighted here where it says the pieces equal to add up to 100%, that's usually gonna drive you to using some sort of pie chart, okay? There's just another snippet here. Same thing, adds up to 100%, okay? And then you subdivide everything, but ultimately it just adds up to 100%, okay? And then you have this idea of bar charts or column charts here. So they're basically used to show some sort of amount or number for a particular thing, right? An item, right? How many times it pops in there. And basically that will cause Excel to probably recommend some sort of bar chart for you, okay? And I'll show these to you in a second here. I'm just kind of talking through it, and then I'm going to go into the Excel sheet and work on some charts there for you. Okay, so in this case over here, they're talking about income over a given year, right? So it's 2003, 2004, 2005. And they have these colors here in terms of revenues, expenses, and profit and loss. And then, of course, you have the dollar amounts on the left-hand side here. Okay, so that kind of just shows year on year what the different values of revenue, expenses, and profit and loss are. Okay. Here's another example of it, a little bit more simple, but it's still the same idea, right? In this case, now you're talking about bananas, Big Macs, and Snickers. And in this case, instead of looking at years, you're looking at your protein, your carbs, and your fat. Okay. So let's go down to here. So you have some series here. And then we go over to our right. And in this case, we're talking about like Big Mac, right? But let me just do a new one from scratch for you. So let me see. What do we have here? I don't know. Feeling that creative today. So I'm going to just say product A. And let's say actually this might be something to kind of show like how I can do an autofill here. So let's say I was doing this as B. Like that, and then I'm gonna fill like that in Write it down, I think, here. And too many too many A, B, C's here, right? So product, product big. I don't know. Let's do 25. 25. Yeah, let's make it a little bit more interesting. Let's make this 35 and 40. Okay. And so let's see how we can do this. Okay. So first here, you can see I purposely set this to be 100. So if I go to here, insert, and I say recommended charts, as you can see, it's gonna go into a recommended pie chart. So let me click on that. And I have that. Okay. Not 100% super useful, but not bad. Okay. Now, if I go along the top here, you can see these different styles here. Right. And as I scroll through, you can see how the chart automatically updates to reflect that new style. I don't know, this kind of looks okay, right? We can go down a little bit more. Yeah, I kind of like having the number in here. Okay, let's go with this one here. Okay, and I think I like the title. So this is the chart title. Okay, if I want to change it, maybe I just change it to big, like that. Okay, so it defaults by taking this product big and sticking it in here for your chart title, but you can change it, right? And you'll be doing something like that for your assignment. Okay, you can see the chart down here. 1, 2, 3, not really that useful. So let's see if we can change that a little bit. Here. Well, actually, that's not what I want to do. I actually want to do this here. Make this a little bit different. Here we go. All right. So I kind of was flipping around a little bit. So let me set that back so you can see what I did here. So I went to the select data here. This is a right mouse click again, right? So on the right mouse click, you can see 1, 2, 3, right? That's the 1, 2, 3 here. So let me edit this. Okay. And let's look at the label range. What do I want that to be? Well, I want it to be kind of like this component A, B, and C. Okay, so I'm going to select this here. And I say, okay. And now you can see it became component A, B, and C. Okay, and then so this legend now incorporates this. Okay, so this is how you create a pie chart. First, you get all the different components, assuming that they equal to 100. Select them, do the insert. You can select the style up here, and you can set the chart title here. There's other things you can play around with here on your configuration, which I'll let you play around with on your own. Chart filters, kind of interesting there too. And then the other notable thing here is to set your label, right? So like I said, you click on it, you do your select data, you get to this part, and then you can do an edit here, and then you can change how you're setting these labels by selecting it like I just did, okay, using the edit. And then you end up with this. Okay, so that's your pie chart here. Let's do something different here. 2010, 2011, and 2000. Sales, 100, 1300, and 1400. Okay. So see if I can just select this, and if this will come out with a recommended chart. Okay. Here, like that. Okay. So this is kind of valid. Not really sure how interesting this might be. That's fine. Not really that interesting of a chart though. I wonder if I should just play around with some numbers here. I don't know. Let's let's make this 1350, and let's make this like that. Kind of make a little mountain or something here. Let's do the insert. We'll do this. And there you have some sales here. Okay. And then I can play around with it. You can see this is kind of similar to what we did with the circle or the pie chart here. Okay. You can kind of see these things here. You can obviously have multiple columns, right? You can have sales, you can have like profits and whatever. I'll maybe add that in a second here. Okay. Now, let me see here. Let me make this 1500. Okay. So you have this chart here that's looking at this data, and you see what I just did there, right? I just changed the data. And you can see how the chart adjusted based on the data. Okay. So there's a couple of things that goes on here that you might want to consider when you're thinking about these type of charts. Number one, what happens if I have a whole bunch of years here, right? Maybe I go from 2000, just 2000 all the way out to 2025, let's say, and I put sales for all of that. You can imagine what this is going to look like, right? You're going to see a whole bunch of these bars here. Not really sure, like that's going to be too busy. That might not be something that people want to see. So that's one consideration. Let's take a look at another consideration. What happens if I take this number, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you see what happened here. If I take like one number and it's way bigger than the other numbers, you can see what just happened here, right? You can see like I just cut this one big thing here, and then these just fell off the chart basically. So these are some considerations where you want to try to have these numbers that sort of like kind of in the same order of magnitude. Some you have to play around with it a little bit, but basically you want to make sure these numbers are sort of in the same ballpark. Otherwise, they kind of distort all over the place, right? Like what I just did there, I made the 2011 very big, and then all of these on both sides fell off. So, you might have to do some sort of scaling, like log or whatever, to kind of bring the numbers more in a line that you can kind of see this better. Otherwise, the one number just totally dominates across everything else. Okay. So let's take this chart out and let's look at profit, a different number here. Okay. And I'll do something like this, 200, 300, and 100. Okay. Now I'm going to select this, and let's see what happens when I do the insert for the chart. And yeah, this one looks pretty good. So let's select this one. I neglected to talk about it before, but you can see across the top, similar to what the pie chart is, you have different styles. And then as you cycle through them, you'll get to choose one that kind of looks appropriate, right? In this case, I like this style 7. This looks pretty good. So I'll put that in here, but everything else is the same, right? Now I just have two attributes for each year, like so, right? So again, same thing applies. I can do 450 here, right? And it just adjusts it accordingly. What happens when I do a minus 100? Okay, so you can see over here, this adjusted here, and then this adjusted here. Okay, so this is a quick intro to some charts here. We'll pick up some more in the last lecture for chapter 13. But for now, I'll wrap this up as an introduction to Excel charts.